evening. I am dropping in with all of you on this 16th day of Panchakarma, really to give a collective download. So, even if you're not on this Panchakarma journey, if you feel drawn to this video, then what comes through here is definitely something that is speaking to you on your path and can have value. This is for all the collective. And I put out yesterday a video on cord cutting, or really what I call extraction work, because I don't believe in doing cutting per se as much as I do pulling things out at the root. So there is this ability to really just inhabit your own energy again without anything else corded into you, plugged into you. And now we are going to be diving into the deeper um, terrain of Panchakarma this Thursday, when we have 3 days of really intensive purification of mind, body, and spirit through the 5 actions of that purification, which is what Panchakarma means. And if you want to know about Panchakarma and what I'm talking about, what we're doing here, it is a free community um, offering to be supported in transforming your life from the inside out through the wisdom of Ayurveda. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I wanted to share this as a gift for all who find their way here. The playlist will remain up and it's on the homepage here. So just scroll down. You can check out the videos, learn what it's all about, and jump in at any time. We are moving through it in live time right now, leading up to that full moon, which is wonderful. So there's still time to dive into the deep cleansing. For those of you who really like to put your feet to the fire, welcome in. I'm like that myself, so I'm so ready to just like jump into this deep dive on Thursday and have 3 days of really going into the center of it and letting it all go, man. It's so perfect for this energy coming in with the full moon in Pisces, which is all about release and emotional cleansing and spiritual cleansing. And it evokes that image of the Ace of Cups being replenished from above and bringing forward inside of you something that provides such fullness that it's able to also nurture others even in your receiving. So just really beautiful energy. And we also have Mercury going retrograde that day in the sign of Libra. So there's a lot of closing of big karmic cycles, and it's a time of integration, a time of release, a time of healing. And we went into that cord cutting extraction work yesterday, and I was going to do a video on neti pot, but I ended up being all out of distilled water, and that's something very essential for doing neti pot. So I'm going to have to put that off for another day, maybe tomorrow or Thursday. I'll do that video, but this seemed like a natural extension of the cord cutting work. A lot of times cord cutting work or extraction work comes up in association with what I'm going to talk to you about this evening, which is psoas release. Psoas plays an integral role in trauma release, and trauma release on all levels, mind, body, spirit. It is often called the spiritual muscle, and that's because it's kind of a record keeper of all of the the I was going to say promising, which is really strange. I don't know why I was going to say promising. I was actually saying um, trauma, trauma experiences we've been through. But, it kind of reminds me of that Mary Oliver quote. Someone once gave me a box of darkness, and I realized this too was a gift. So maybe it's like the promise that can come forward on the other side of what has been painful to process, what has been painful to hold. And in some cases, it's been stored in our bodies for a long time. One thing that's really key with trauma release is not just having kind of like talk therapy, talking it out, which can actually send you on sort of this repeat neural loop where you're constantly regurgitating the story. It can actually bind you more to that time and place. It can kind of keep those holding patterns firmly in place in your life. And in order to transcend it, there does come a point when you have them witnessed in the story, which I do feel is like a really important piece when it comes to working through any kind of trauma, is to initially feel heard, feel like respectful space was held for what you went through. And I hope in your own way, as you're doing this work, going through your self-care Panchakarma, that you are creating this space for yourself. And you may wonder, how do I create that space? And I would say the best way to create that kind of honoring space around this kind of work when you're doing it for yourself is to create ritual around it, and ritual that speaks to you within your personal spiritual traditions. But that's one of the reasons why it's helpful to bring an altar in, set an altar in your space, even just on a shelf or a bedside table that has symbols on it of what you're releasing and what you're looking to call in its place, and symbols of what gives you spiritual strength, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel held, and calling all that energy in around you to act as a visual reminder, of the work that you're doing, the way that it's supported, the beauty that it leads to on the other side. These pieces are definitely key, to feel witnessed, to feel held, to feel a certain sense of safety and opening up to the story, and that initial release that comes from opening up the throat chakra and sharing and speaking to it. It's important, but a lot of times people can become sort of ensnared in that process. They become attached to the process. They end up needing to cut a cord to the process to extract that from their auric field. This need to stay in this place of constantly looking at what happened and regurgitating it and going over it again and again. At a certain point, there becomes a need to extract your energy from the past and step into the present, because the present is the only opportunity you have for really moving into the gifts of what you went through. You can't do it if you stay attached to that time and place, and what happened. Even the most traumatic, painful experiences, they can't be changed by looking at them repeatedly and continuing to hold so much space for that. And in fact, it robs you of this space that should be filled with the joy that is on offer, with the joy that is available. That being said, there is a time and place for that, right? There's a time and place to hold space for the pain, to feel the pain. But what we're looking at here at this point in time, at this juncture, is how do we obtain the key to freedom? And the key to freedom is to release our attachment to the suffering, release our attachment to needing to feel the pain, needing to look at the pain, needing to poke around in the wound. That's the thing with the healing process. This is such an essential part that often isn't discussed, is if you need healing, right? At a certain time, you have to stop touching the wound. You have to stop fussing with it. You have to stop, interfering with its natural healing process. What happens if you fall and you scuff your knee, and you put a Band-Aid on it, and then over time it starts to like scab over, right? And you go and pick at it, you delay your healing process. So there is this necessity at sometimes to really extract your energy from those situations, so you can come back into the present and actually heal, by not holding so much space for it anymore, by moving forward by becoming very aware and conscious in the present moment. And we talked about some of this stuff in the video I did late last night in the wee hours on cord cutting. So check that out if you are feeling drawn to this kind of work and you haven't seen that video yet. So yes, this psoas release, It's like this record keeper, right? And it stores our frustrations, our disappointments, our traumas, our places in our lives where we feel limited. Um, and it can really keep our bodies in this space of holding patterns, you know, and it serves that same purpose when it's activated emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You know, we can find ourselves in holding patterns that even though they're painful and even though they don't really serve us, we don't quite know how to release them. They seem persistent. And so this is what we're going to be diving into really deep for the 3 days. We're going to be doing our cord cutting. We're going to be doing, you know, that extraction work. We're going to be um, doing the deep dive, you know, to do the healing needed. And on the physical level, we're going to really, you know, complete that circle with psoas release work. And psoas release work is something that, you know, is comprehensive. You can't just approach it in one way. You know, physically, you have the psoas. It originates, you know, in that lumbar spine. It comes around down through the transverse abdominis, you know, wraps around the iliac crest of the pelvis and hips, you know, over the front and attaches in the groin area, right where that femur head meets in there. And when it's activated, when it has a holding pattern, it can cause a lot of lower back pain. It can cause a lot of stiffness in the hips. It can cause sciatica, you know, trouble with kind of like limping around. It can really bind your body up. It really inhibits your freedom of motion. But getting the psoas to release is really tricky. It's not so easy to access the psoas as far as physically because it's so deep in the body. Now, as an Ayurvedic practitioner and body worker, I can get in there. I can do psoas release, but usually when you have somebody that's doing work on you with psoas release, you know, it takes a series. It takes a series of treatments, and it also requires the person is doing their own individual emotional release work, spiritual work, integration work, letting go work. Okay, and we're bringing all those pieces in here with the Panchakarma, so you're totally 100% supported in that. But I'm going to talk to you today about what you can do as you're moving through this deep dive that starts on Thursday for Thursday, Friday, and culminating on Saturday with that full moon for our puja, our real deep purification process with this Panchakarma. You can bring in this piece, this psoas release piece that's really going to help facilitate the cutting of those cords, those releasing of attachments, and really giving you freedom back in your body, mind, and spirit. So beautiful, powerful work. The first thing I want to talk about is opening the body to this psoas release work. So you can't just go and dive into the psoas with your hands, you know, on yourself. You just it's too difficult initially to get in there deeply. Okay, so there becomes a need instead to get all the surrounding muscles warmed up and relaxed. Now you've already been doing a lot of great stuff with moving your lymph, and the lymphatic system flowing is definitely going to support this process also with just releasing any of the emotions that come up when you do get your psoas to let go. And when it lets go, you will know you're going to feel so much freedom all through the belly, through the pelvis. You're going to feel your energy, all the energy in your body is going to flow differently. You're going to move with so much more freedom. You're going to dance with so much more abandon. You're going to feel so much more supple. You know, it's a beautiful, like softening, opening, sweet expansion kind of experience when the psoas releases. And yes, you can do it for yourself, you know. You're already putting those pieces in place. You've been starting to get in touch with your emotions. You've been getting your lymph moving, you know. We got the respiratory channels, you know, opening to help expel that grief in the lungs with the steam inhalations, and bringing in those plant allies like rosemary that holds that protective space around emotional release and creates that feeling of protection and love and being held as old stuck grief gets dislodged in the lungs and comes up and out in the form of that ama. You know, you've got all of these pieces coming in. You've got all of these pieces coming in to support this work. And really, it is the focus of our work, because we're moving in harmony with this Panchakarma, in alignment with the energy that is building with this Pisces full moon. So this is about, it's Panchakarma, man. We're using that purification to clear out the karma that's accumulated in our tissues, you know, in our physical bodies. And that also has the effect, right? Because it's all interconnected, in releasing the emotions, the mental thought processes, the old outdated ways of looking at things, the belief structures that need to be dissolved and released and transcended. All of this stuff, let's go. And what happens are all those obstacles that were in the way on our path that prevented our forward motion and the manifestation of what we wanted to see happen in our lives, like our deep visions. I'm not talking about like, oh, I really want that new sports car, or, you know, or I hope to go on a trip to the Bahamas, you know. While that sounds absolutely lovely, it's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those things that you really want to do in your life, but maybe you feel like, how could I even possibly step up into that? Or it's a deep dream, it's a vision, it's something you would love to do, you would love to bring forward in the world, but maybe you're afraid to. Maybe it feels like too big of shoes to step into, or maybe you lack the confidence, or maybe you don't believe in yourself enough. Maybe you're afraid to trust the path and take a risk and take a leap, and just to follow your heart and go with where your passions are stirring you, where your soul is leading you, where you get a solid fuck yes, where you hit that point where everything in your body says, fuck yes, this is for me. None of that, maybe this might be okay. No, fuck yes. The thing that like lights you up, that fills you with life. Like, this is coming in to cleanse you of all that shit in your life, this full moon, all this energy, the way all the retrograde energy is lining up. It's all culminating to like form this supportive cocoon for you, so you can arrive at your fuck yes by releasing everything that is a maybe, everything that is a, let's see, everything that's a hard no. Just clearing the template. It's like clearing the energy body. It's like clean slate energy, because you are the slate. You clean the slate, and then you can let your soul bring forward new visions. You can let your soul bring forward new dreams. You can bring that vision back to life that, you know, you tucked away in the recesses of your consciousness for whatever story you told yourself about why you couldn't bring that thing into being. You know, really beautiful energy. So we want to like open up to this energy, and what better way than to work with the psoas. All right. So I want to help give you some pointers, some things you can do to start getting that psoas releasing as we move into this deep purification. And I encourage you, if you're doing this Panchakarma with us, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, make sure you're bringing in this psoas work, because it's really key. It's really key to the healing that's being asked to come in right now for the collective, and working with these energies, sort of like the foundation of our Panchakarma work. So the first thing is, you want to loosen and warm up the surrounding muscles, so that this even has an opportunity of releasing. You're already starting to get the other things flowing. So now we need to release all of those core muscles. Okay. And really, the best way to do this is with abdominal massage. And anybody can do a belly rub. It's super, super simple. It's not hard. It's not complicated. just get some nice warm oil. Warmth is very important for this, for getting the psoas to start to loosen and release. Because once you get all of the surrounding muscles loosened and released, then it automatically has a relaxing effect on the psoas. Same thing with any kind of relaxation you can engage in. Remember, this Panchakarma, we are working more with stabilizing the energy of Vata because we're heading into the fall season. So we want to tend to the nervous system, right? So this is a different kind of reset. So you want to make sure that these 3 days of Panchakarma, you're also engaging in some kind of relaxation, some type of healing where you can receive. You can receive. I greatly encourage you to work with things like guided meditations, whether you have a recording of one or, you can put something on YouTube. There's also, what are they called? Oh my goodness. There's a really excellent sound healing channel, Healing Vibrations, I think they're called. They're here on YouTube. Phenomenal sound baths. They are so good. And they have them associated with all of the different chakra systems. They are just amazing. And they have them without commercial interruption. And some of them will go like 9 hours. Like you could have these sound baths going all through the 3 days of your Panchakarma. You could change them up. They're all listed, so check them out. Healing Vibrations here on YouTube. Big shout out to them. They've supported me in a lot of my personal healing work, and they are wonderful, wonderful. They will transport you to another world. I'm telling you, so fabulous. And I bet you that they'll have one to work with this full moon energy too, because they do that a lot. I noticed they do sound baths that are aligned with the different lunar energies coming in. So 22:22 on the clock when I said that. Okay, big alignment energy. And the reality is that that piece has been coming in for a while. The value of working at all vibrational levels, working with the waves. Okay, big working with the waves energy. We got this Pisces, big wave energy, right? This big wave energy. We've been dancing, and that's like another wave kind of energy, right? There's also this piece about getting the spinal wave going. And this is like some of the work that we'll be doing with this psoas release. And then what does sound arrive in on? Sound arrives in on sound waves. Okay. So like this piece is coming forward really strong. So I encourage you, bring in the sound healing, whatever speaks to you. Bring in the guided meditations. Let yourself receive from another, because that is an important part of Panchakarma. And while you may not be able to go and see a sound healer in person or see a massage therapist, or, you might not be able to do that, you absolutely can turn on a video where they've created this beautiful offering for you and you can just receive. And how lucky we are that we get to do that, right? And big respect to the creators out there that are holding those spaces online in this kind of environment. I just think it's so beautiful, right? Like that's the right way to use this medium, where it can be used as a way to, hold space for others to be supported in their healing and activating change in their lives. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So, bring in that sound piece. But, you could even put on a sound bath, maybe that's associated with that area of the body, something that is associated with Svadhisthana, that sacral chakra, that womb space chakra, and also Manipura, solar plexus chakra, right? That space in the front where your ribs meet in the front body, okay? That's where Manipura is. That's like your power center, very solar energy. You can, even as you're doing this massage, you can envision as a sun, because we're calling the light back in. So you can envision a sun right there at your solar plexus, right in the front where your ribs meet, and envision it growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it surrounds your whole body, until it surrounds your whole home, until it surrounds your whole city, until it surrounds your whole country, until it surrounds the whole world, until it surrounds all of infinity. Go deep with it. Go on a ride with it while you're listening to this sound bath. Let that sound wave carry you as you build that light within you. And warm oil, just heat up some really yummy warm oil, whatever type of oil you want to use, whatever speaks to you. You can even put some aromatherapy in there, put up to 6 drops of essential oil you can use as a safe amount for, one session. You can use things like a combination of like rose and vanilla, or lavender and vanilla is very like, ugh, yum, yum, relaxing. Ylang ylang is also very beautiful. I love working with sweet orange too, because it has that, it reminds me of like that essence of like Florida water, right? Like that purification. But it also has this like this sweetness, this sweet Venusian, femininity to it. And let's bring in a little of that sweetness with this release work, because Venus has been pretty toughly aspected in this lunar cycle. So let's bring in a little beauty. Let's bring in a little softness. Let's bring in a little silkiness, a little soothing, for Venus. Venus needs that goodness. Venus needs a little bit of that beauty. Be reminded of the beauty, bring in the beauty in your environment too, as you're doing these next 3 days, starting on Thursday, when we do the deep dive for the 3 days of purification for our Panchakarma, beautify your environment, bring in some fresh flowers, hold the space. This is your sacred space. Make it very special for you. And, you get in there with that warm oil, okay? And you don't need essential oil. If all you got is olive oil, that's good, okay? If all you got is ghee, warm ghee, oh my gosh, warm ghee rubbed in the belly is fantastic. It's so, so soothing, okay? But just very simple, okay? Very simple. On the belly, you're just doing circular strokes, and you start on your lower belly on your right side, and you just bring your arms up and around. You're working with the flow of digestion. It's just like up and around, starting from the bottom of the left of your abdomen all the way down to the bottom of your right. And you start in big circles, and you bring the circles in smaller and smaller and smaller until they're right at the navel. And then from the navel, you can just push straight down towards the pelvis, okay? It's that simple. And there's all kinds of strokes you can do. You don't just have to, move your hands together in, one single unit like this. You can also kind of pet around. That feels really good. You can also make biscuits, like a cat, work it all around. You might feel areas, I like to employ that when I'm doing it on myself, because you might hit places where you feel like sort of the tension in your belly. You can kind of, make some biscuits there and soften it up and give it a little love. And then once you've done that and you've broken it up, do some sweeping strokes, coming around the belly. But you're always working in a clockwise motion. You're starting from the bottom right of your belly and you're coming on up. And then, I encourage you also take that warm oil, create yourself a private space to do this work. Or, if you have a lover who is going through this with you and they're doing this healing work, this transformation work with you, maybe you can, share with each other. This would be actually really beautiful. But you can take that warm oil and then run it down into your groin, and just get to know where's the tension being held there, massage a little bit in the pelvis and right there in the groin, just kind of loosen things up in through that area of the body, because that's where the psoas connects, as well. You want to get right at the top of the hips, at the top of that iliac crest. You want to get right in there on the side body, coming in from the obliques, right at the place where your waist and your hip meets, okay? And just kind of, get in there, massage in there too, loosen up that area a bit. And you can do all of this laying down. You can set up a really like cozy spot for you to lay down. You can, lay out a yoga mat, put some pillows down, and just get cozy, and explore your body with this warm oil and get in there, get in the groin, do an abdominal rub, get in there and work, right at that place on your side and coming as far back as you can, into the lower back too, in that same point, just wrapping it all the way from the back around, really getting in there. You can even do a little movement with it, sort of rocking the body side to side as you're laying there, just kind of open things up and just explore, okay, with this warm oil. Then, to take it another level, you can warm up some rocks too, some smooth stones like river stones, even stones you find on your walks, any stone. You don't need to go and buy some fancy schmancy, hot stones, from some spa outlet. You can use stones that you find in your own walks. Just you want a nice smooth stone, And yeah, you can use crystals, you can use crystals, make sure that they're not affected by porosity, good crystals that can handle being used in that way. But absolutely, rose quartz would be lovely for this kind of work because it has that softening, that silky energy, so you could use rose quartz and you can get in there and you can use these stones and also give yourself a tummy massage with the stones. All those places you loosen up with your hands, go over them with the warm stones and get in there. It allows you to kind of like work in there a little deeper, get it a little bit more loosened up, kind of get everything relaxed, get everything softened, get everything released, okay? And then after you've gotten this loosened up, then you can do some simple like opening stretches. And really like the one I like the best, that's the easiest for getting that attachment where the groin is simply to go and ease into legs up the wall pose. Go and bring your yoga mat right next to a wall and ease yourself over, sitting to the side, okay? Sitting to the side of the wall. Get as close to the wall as you can, and then go ahead and from there, guide yourself laying down and bring your legs up, turn your body around, legs up on the wall, and you're laying flat on your back. And just hang out there for a moment, working with that, flow of gravity. So you've got your booties pressed right up against the wall, your legs are running up the wall, your legs are being held up by that wall, and you can just really give yourself over and totally relax on the floor, okay? Then as you lay there, just deep breathing into your pelvis and into your lower abdomen, into all those spaces that you just opened up with that massage work. You can slowly allow your legs that are resting against the wall to just gently start to open, okay? And just let them open as far as they want, okay? And when it hits a point where they're holding, breathe into where you feel the tightness and just keep breathing, keep staying connected to the belly, what's going on in the belly, what you're feeling in the belly, all right? And you can still be rubbing on your belly while you're doing this, and it helps to support the process. It helps things to, just feel like it's safe to release, it's safe to let go. It can be a beautiful way to support yourself through that. And then after you've done that, you can finish with some movement. And we're really looking at getting, sort of like that wave going with the spine. We want that spinal movement. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently, okay? You can stand or you can do it seated. I'm just going to, kind of like describe it seated because it's where I am right now. So you would just sit in your chair and you would sit upright, okay? And first you would begin by rolling your pelvis forward. So you're like scooping your pelvis up, right? And you might feel a little bit of a pull in your lower back when you do that, okay? And it might be your tendency when you scoop forward like that to want to put your head down. But instead, I want you to like lift at the crown and bring your head back and bring your shoulders back and just hold, and you inhale when you do that, with the pelvis forward, okay? And now you're going to do the opposite. You roll the pelvis back. And when you would normally roll the pelvis back, what would you want to do? You would want to naturally feel compelled to put your head back, and instead you're going to again lift at the crown and you're going to roll your head forward. Exhale. Okay. So again, from here you would inhale, roll your pelvis up as you lift from the crown. Bring that pelvis forward. Arch the head back. And then you would exhale, bring the pelvis back, right? Pop that booty out as you dive down, exhale, round forward. Now, when you bring the pelvis forward and back like that, you're starting to engage this like wave-like motion with the spine. It's like this S motion with the spine. Okay, like we're entering the wave. That's what we're doing right now. So if we can make our spines nice and supple so they can flow, our spines are like they're our central nervous system. Okay, and our central nervous system is what communicates everything. It's like our wiring network inside. And again, what have we learned through Ayurveda? Macrocosm is reflected in microcosm. So as we get our frequency aligned with that wave, like we're able to ride it, okay? We're able to surf that Savuya and really move in harmony with the energies and play with this lunar cycle. So, and I encourage you to, practice moving your spine like this. You can do it on a physio ball would be great because, physio balls are kind of like, they're kind of buoyant like the water, right? So you're even more embodying that energy. But you can also do it while you're dancing, it might feel counterintuitive, but if you think about it, it comes in a lot with like body rolls, whether you're doing a body roll up or whether you're doing a body roll down, you can go back and forth, and it's that energy. Okay, so you're working oppositionally, but all planes of motion for the spine, which it gets things moving. It also helps to loosen up all those holding patterns, and then you need to start to work with strengthening the muscles that will give that psoas support too. So it doesn't feel like it has to do all the holding work, and it can kind of like, it can relax and loosen. And you're supporting the emotional release and all the other keys needed to unlock the psoas with what's been laid out in this Panchakarma we're doing, okay? So this is the other piece that you can really bring in is, stomach vacuuming, nali, it's very beneficial, very, very beneficial for this. So after you've worked with that S wave motion, working within both of those polarities, you can then go into nali, which is a very simple stomach vacuuming practice. And you simply stand up. You can, thumbs on the inside of your legs, so your elbows are pointed outward, like so. You put your thumbs on your inner thighs, let your fingers rest on your outer thighs, okay? And you go into that cat position, right? Where normally, we do this kind of spinal flexion is what we're used to, and you round forward. Well, you would do that. You'd inhale, while you're standing there, kind of a little bent over. And then you would exhale and you'd round everything forward. Bring the pelvis forward like you would normally do, okay? Bring the pelvis forward, round the head forward, full exhalation. And on the end of the exhale, you would pull your stomach in and up, pulling the navel back toward the spine, and hold it. Hold it as long as you can. If you can aim for 10 seconds, great. but you would do that about 5 times. Okay, 5 times. And that would be a very thorough psoas release session. And it can make a big difference and start opening things up for you in absolutely amazing ways. So I really encourage you to work with this psoas release routine as we move through the 3 days of intensive puja purification. And I think I'm going to just pull one of these white light oracle cards because I feel compelled to. And we'll close this up. But this piece really wanted to come forward, not just for those who are going through Panchakarma, but the collective as a whole. I feel like it's time to really open the body up, clear the channel. I feel like a lot of new energy is going to be coming in, and the better that you can be aligned with it, not only in a place of emotional and mental readiness, but also physically. Sometimes when there's this kind of ascension energy really at the forefront, those upgrades, man, they can be really intense. And yeah. Karma of Kutuhala, look at that big phoenix rising energy. Talk about ascension, right? It's about coming from the muck, rising up out of the ashes from the towers that fell, and being born anew in that light that's shining through the time that was spent in the darkness and all the shadow work. I really hope people, despite the challenging aspects of this current lunar cycle, will tap into the energy that is front and center and on offer, which is all about, hey man, we're in the delivery room and we're about to go through a rebirth. We're entering brand new cycles. Things are going to be very different, and they're going to be lighter and they're going to be brighter, as long as you let it in, as long as you're willing to let go of the need to keep processing the pain, as long as you're ready to heal and ready to step into that expansion and not be held back anymore. Woo! This flipped up midway. All right. We have 7 blessings of Eve. There's that cosmic egg that is fertile. It's the seed of intention that comes through when the channel is clear. This really reminds me of Kundalini energy. It's about keeping that channel clear, keeping the chakras clear, keeping the Shushumna, which runs up, right? It runs up, encompassing that spine. There's that spinal wave energy coming in. I'm telling you, this piece connects. It's like once we open this channel, then that seed of intention that comes in from spirit, from your Atman, your higher consciousness, however you relate to it, it's able to really descend and come in and get rooted in our center, right? Get rooted in our center. And it's from our center that, the new path is born. It's from having those lower channels clear. Okay. It's so important because it's great to be up in the upper channels and, play out on the ethers and, enjoy all that expansive energy. But what value does it have if you can't root it in your material reality? That's what's so essential. And in order to manifest, in order to open up to the abundance that wants to come into your life, in order to be able to actually see your visions come to fruition in your material reality, you have to have your lower channels clear. And that's another reason why this work is so important. We got to get the network working in tandem, the upper and lower channels working in tandem, in the spine. This spinal wave, this S motion with the spine is like such a piece of this. It's the key to unlocking the body, and unlocking the body unlocks the energy centers, and unlocking the energy centers allows what's needed to be seeded to come on through, so we can actually use our creative force to actualize in material reality. And it's so funny that this image would come in here, snakes. are all about transformation. They're about shedding the old skin, and the snake does it so effortlessly, so effortlessly. How many times does the shake, hey, shake too, shake your body out, just shaking your body, Shaking is a great way to, Ted just shook his body. Yeah. Shaking the body, it really gets the, yeah, it gets the Shakti going, okay? And that's that transformational energy, we got to work with that Shiva and Shakti, we got to let the death, the destruction, the dismantling of the old, the towers come through, but we gotta dance through it, we gotta shake our rattles and dance through it as we go through the endings, and it like bursts something new in us. We stir up the energy that brings the new path into our field of vision, and it comes from inside of us. It comes from landing deeply inside of us in a new way, in a way that no longer feels constricted or bound or held in or limited, but like wide open. Anything's possible. Really beautiful energy. I did a meditation. It's on this channel. And it's associated with this very card. So I also think that this is coming through as this would be a good meditation to work with during Panchakarma. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that particular meditation I did. I did it a little bit back. I'm going to add it to the play file. Okay, I'm going to add it to the playlist for the Panchakarma, so you can easily access that and work with it. Yeah, it should be really good. I think this is really good. I'm looking forward to this. So I feel like this is the path, forward. I'm seeing this just the way I laid it down. The path of transformation, that wolf energy is all about the pathfinder. Wolf helps us find the way forward. And, we got this as above, so below, that light is above in this card with the 7 blessings of Eve. And then where do we see it land? We see it land in the heart with the wolf energy here. And the wolf totem is all about the pathfinder. And that's the bridge, The heart is the bridge that merges as above, so below. So, as you're also working with this so as release work, do follow through, pour a little of that warm oil on your heart and open up the chest, do a little massage in here to just open up the chest and rub some sweetness into your heart and just feel the beauty of that. You can even take a hot stone covered in warm oil and, oh my gosh, just rub it on that heart center. It feels so amazing. You can even work it through the breast tissue. And yes, this applies to you too, men. Men have breast tissue as well. Men can get breast cancer as well. It's so important for us to feel comfortable, like touching our bodies, getting to know our bodies and what they need for healing. So, follow through with that. You can even take a warm stone, warm, oily stone right on the heart center. If you feel like emotional stuff come up when you do your psoas release work and you feel like, oh, there's something right on the edge there, but I just can't get it to release. Like maybe you feel like you need to cry or you need some kind of emotion to come out, but it feels like it's sort of like held back. You can put a nice warm stone with lots of warm oil poured over it, onto your heart center. You can kind of rub it in a circle, and then you can hold that stone in place and take another stone and tap it. Tap, 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 right over the heart center on that sternum. It also sends a little bit of vibration to your solar plexus. It will help open up both of these chakra channels, these chakra centers. It'll form a channel between the two, between your power center and your heart. So your solar energy there will really be like a guiding light beaming out from the heart, that can help you stay connected to that place of openness, soften, yielding, receiving, it's so essential to land in anahata, the heart chakra. But it will act as a bridge, because once you are able to connect, the heart to the solar plexus, it allows you to drop down into the body, right? Root the energy. I kind of go off when I talk about stuff like this because I find the human body so fascinating, and we use such limited amounts of energetic availability and its power to affect change in our lives. I guess that's the best way I can think of it, you know. And it's funny. Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. I looked on the bottom of the deck. Is Ishtar's lion gate. And we have 888 there. Yeah, this is all about manifesting, the promise of that portal we stepped in with that Lionsgate, this Panchakarma energy. But another thing this brings forward for me is that that particular meditation that I recorded, okay, that I'm going to include on the playlist. I called it the 7 jewels of Ishtar. And isn't that a confirmation to have that show up on the bottom of the deck? So this definitely feels like the big Panchakarma work. I'm really excited about it. So if you want to specifically make an altar in relation to this about entering the wave for those 3 days, and what it means to enter the wave to you, what is it a wave of in your life? What wave are you calling in? Is it a wave of abundance? Is it a wave of healing? Is it a wave of magic? Is it a wave of hope? Is it a wave of blessing? Is it a wave of freedom? Is it a wave that carries you to new places, new faces, new experiences? Work with this. There's this piece that wants to come in, and hey, even if you're not going through Panchakarma with us, I strongly encourage you to do this in your own life. Work with that full moon energy to put up an altar that is devoted to this wave that we're all about to catch and ride it out for all it's worth. And see what blessings it brings into your life as we prepare to enter that new cycle on the 25th of September with the Libra new moon. And that's what I have for all of you. Thank you so much for dropping in with me. Thank you so much to all of the new subscribers and to all of you who have been commenting, dropping in, showing up. I so appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being part of my experience here. It's been so great lately just to have so many new people coming in, and I'm a newbie here on YouTube, and it feels really good to start to connect with my people, the people that resonate with what I'm sharing. So thank you. You're an important part of my journey, and I appreciate you. Have a beautiful evening.